Coming up on 5 Minute News. G7 and UN claim Russian attack on Ukraine is possible war crime. US Supreme Court rejects fetal personhood appeals case. And NASA asteroid strike results in significant nudge to avert catastrophe. It's Wednesday, October 12. I'm Anthony Davis. Russian forces fired more missiles and munition-carrying drones at Ukraine on Tuesday after widespread strikes killed at least 19 people in an attack the UN Human Rights Office described as particularly shocking and amounting to potential war crimes. Air raid warnings sounded throughout Ukraine for a second straight morning as officials advised residents to conserve energy and stock up on water. The strikes have knocked out power across the country and pierced the relative calm that had returned to Kiev and many other cities far from the war's front lines. The leaders of the Group of 7 industrial powers condemned the bombardment and said they would stand firmly with Ukraine for as long as it takes. Their pledge defied Russian warnings that Western assistance would prolong the war and the pain of Ukraine's people. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told the G7 leaders during a virtual meeting that during the past 2 days, Russia fired more than 100 missiles and dozens of drones at Ukraine, and that while Ukraine shot down many of them, it needs more modern and effective air defense systems. The Pentagon earlier announced plans to deliver the first 2 advanced NASAMS anti-aircraft systems to Ukraine in the coming weeks. The systems, which Kiev has long wanted, will provide medium to long-range defense against missile attacks. In a phone call with Zelensky on Tuesday, President Joe Biden pledged to continue providing Ukraine with the support needed to defend itself, including advanced air defense systems, the White House said. The US Supreme Court on Tuesday declined to decide whether fetuses are entitled to constitutional rights in light of its June ruling overturning the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision that had legalized abortion nationwide, steering clear for now of another front in America's culture wars. The justices turned away an appeal by a Catholic group and 2 women of a lower court's ruling against their challenge to a 2019 Rhode Island law that codified the right to abortion in line with the Roe precedent. The 2 women, pregnant at the time when the case was filed, sued on behalf of their fetuses and later gave birth. The Rhode Island Supreme Court decided that fetuses lacked the proper legal standing to bring the suit. Rhode Island Governor Daniel McKee, a Democrat, welcomed Tuesday's actions by the justices. Conservative Justice Samuel Alito wrote in June's ruling overturning the abortion rights precedent that in the decision, the court took no position on if and when prenatal life is entitled to any of the rights enjoyed after birth. Some Republicans at the state level have pursued what are called fetal personhood laws, like one enacted in Georgia, affecting fetuses starting at around 6 weeks of pregnancy that would grant fetuses before birth a variety of legal rights and protections like those of any person. Under such laws, termination of a pregnancy legally could be considered murder. More than a dozen states have enforced near-total abortion bans since the Supreme Court's June abortion ruling in a case called Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization. The Rhode Island Supreme Court relied on the now reversed Roe precedent in finding that the 14th Amendment did not extend rights to fetuses. The Roe ruling had recognized the right to personal privacy under the U.S. Constitution, protecting a woman's ability to terminate her pregnancy. Most countries outside of the US recognize that fetuses are only viable with significant medical assistance from about 24 weeks. A spacecraft that plowed into a small, harmless asteroid millions of miles away succeeded in shifting its orbit, NASA said on Tuesday, in announcing the results of its Save the World test. The space agency attempted the test 2 weeks ago to see if in the future a killer rock could be nudged out of Earth's way. This mission shows that NASA is trying to be ready for whatever the universe throws at us, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said during a briefing at the space agency's headquarters in Washington. The DART spacecraft carved a crater into the asteroid Dimorphos on September 26, hurling debris out into space and creating a comet-like trail of dust and rubble stretching several thousand miles. It took consecutive nights of telescope observations from Chile and South Africa to determine how much the impact altered the path of the 525-foot asteroid around its companion, a much bigger space rock. Before the impact, the moonlet took 11 hours and 55 minutes to circle its parent asteroid. Scientists had anticipated shaving off 10 minutes, but Nelson said the impact shortened the asteroid's orbit by 32 minutes. Neither asteroid posed a threat to Earth, and still don't as they continue their journey around the Sun. That's why scientists picked the pair for this all-important dress rehearsal. Planetary defense experts prefer nudging a threatening asteroid or comet out of the way, given years or even decades of lead time, rather than blowing it up and creating multiple pieces that could rain down on the Earth. You can subscribe to 5-Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5-Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5-Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.